Hi everyone, I'm here through the portal to share my life review, and this specifically in relation to decision making. In my life, was terrible at making decisions, like so bad. And I didn't even realize it really. I, I would, I would like go into this panic. Okay, when it came to making a decision, that was my first response. I'd panic. And then it's like I would go to everyone close to me, right, to hear their opinion or perspective or input, on this decision that I'm facing. And soon enough, I would have like everyone else's inputs and perspectives and opinions and discussions going on in my head, like as though each person had their own seat and I was in the middle, and I'm just hearing all their voices and all this information and things, and it would almost drive me crazy. And this panic of making this decision, inside myself would just become more and more and more, to the point where I would just go like, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to decide. And, eventually I'd get to a point of, okay, I kind of agree with what that person said, and I like what they said, but then, what about that perspective of the other person? It's like, then what would happen is not only listening to everyone else and what everyone else said, but now I'm like taking all of the people, it was in my head, and also start grouping them in different ways. As though, in one context, I have two people and other two people, against one another and what they said, and, looking at the pros and the cons, and then out of that take, a certain direction into a decision that I want to make. And then in the next, like, almost chamber in my mind, I would put, those same four people together, but, weighing up all their opinions and perspectives and inputs in completely different ways. It does sound like I was crazy, and it did kind of almost feel that way. And it never, this way of approaching making decisions, it never led to anything good. From the perspective that I would eventually just, kind of out of all of that filter a decision that I wanted to make, but still I would never feel at ease. I'd always make a decision in fear and in panic and uncertainty. And as even when I would be walking a decision, that I was making, while I've made it and it was done, I would kind of, feel like I'm walking on eggshells. Like, was this the right thing to do? Was this the wrong thing to do? It's now too late. I have to make peace with it. And obviously also, the after effects when you've made a decision and your mind and your thoughts go, was this the wrong choice? What if, should I maybe actually have taken that direction? I mean, here I am in this decision and I'm walking it, and as I'm walking it, I'm going, oh no, I should have maybe not done it this way. Or, more ideas of, previous decisions come up inside of me after I've made the choice, Like, oh my goodness, why didn't I think of that? Or why didn't I consider that? Oh my God. So here, I'd like to share with you, that when you are about to make a decision, in your life, it can be simple things, about what to study. Well, maybe that's not a simple one. But okay, let's make it the more complex ones, like what to study, what to do with the rest of your life. Let's say also when it comes to even house hunting or apartment hunting or goodness when it comes to making a decision of whether you want to be in a relationship with someone or not. The way I approached making decisions, I would say I have done it in every way you should not be doing it. Meaning how I approach decision making and what I explained in the beginning of the video was that I was always listening to everyone else. You know, I never took what everyone else was saying and kind of brought it to myself and looked at who am I within what they were saying. In other words, to give you an example, I was involved with fashion, and I had 2 companies approaching me, asking me to come and work for them. And I mean, the decision, both the proposals they were quite similar, but it would take me in a completely different direction, you know, in my career. And not only that, but also location. I would have to move to completely different countries. So it was really like looking at 2 completely different yet similar lives. And within that, because I went into a panic and a fear immediately, I kind of lost touch with myself, you know, within it all. And I was like, almost like this frantic person reaching out to everyone else saying, tell me what to do. Tell me what decision I must make. That was my starting point. I was actually asking other people to make the decision for me. It's a very, very subtle dimension inside yourself that you've got to be aware of. But what I would suggest identifying inside yourself is the moment a decision is in front of you, okay, and you go into panic and fear, and it's like you just want to go out there and ask everyone, you know, in like that frantic state, right there. What I would suggest is to forgive the fears, calm yourself, ground yourself, you know, just be here, go, all right, it's just a decision. It's not the end of the world, as how, you know, the emotions in the beginning can make it seem. I mean, you've got to be realistic that decisions, they can be difficult, they can be exceptionally challenging. But at the same time, as long as you are in an emotional response to that decision, you know, your judgments are going to be clouded, you're not going to be clear, you're not going to see things clearly inside yourself. And I mean, if anything, I realized, you know, what I've done in making that decision in my life, that why I went into that frantic fear and panic and wanting everyone else to make the decision for me was because I couldn't see clearly, you know, because I wasn't stable, because I didn't for a moment just sit down with myself and first ask myself alone, okay, what do I want? What would I like to do here? You know, first for me and only me, weigh up all the options, all the pros, all the cons, look at everything purely for myself first. And then rather going to people and sharing with them, all right, this is what I looked at, this is how I looked at it, these are the pros and the cons, these are all the options in this world and in that world, you know, and what is your perspective on this? Is there anything more that you see that I could take into consideration? And that's a whole other approach, because now within all of that, you know, you've got a, shall I say, a starting point or a platform on which you can stand, which is yourself and your relationship to the decision. That comes first. And from there, when another person gives an input or a perspective or an opinion, you bring it to you and you look at it for yourself, you look at it within the decisions that you have already made, and just maybe, you know, weigh things up more, consider things more, open up more dimensions and things like that. All right, so within this video, what I'd like to share is to have a look at that moment is what will determine everything. That moment of who you are when a decision is before you. To not approach it with emotion or fear or panic, because that's going to shift you from yourself. That's going to have a part of you want everyone else to make the decision for you, and you're just going to go into a paranoia inside yourself because you're looking for an answer everywhere else instead of remembering your starting point, your foundation. All right, so again, just to round everything off, the moment there's fear or panic when making a decision, breathe, forgive, calm yourself, trust yourself. Sit down alone with yourself first. Look at the decision, look at all the options in as much detail as you can based on the information that you have. And then go and ask others for their support and assistance, their input, and slowly add it into what you have already looked at and decided on within yourself and your relationship with the decision. Because then everyone starts adding and you can start directing all the information a lot more clearly with a lot more stability. All right. Thank you very much.